Hi Stampers! Welcome to Great Inspirations. My name is Kim Tolbert and I create handmade cards and share my ideas with you. Today I have a lot of cards here, and some of you may remember I am working on a project where I'm making a lot of birthday cards to put in little boxes that I make and give to my sisters for their birthdays. And I've already given one box of cards to my baby sister who had her birthday in May, and now my middle sister, actually I have two middle sisters, her birthday is coming up in June, and I'm hoping to have everything finished so I will have cards for her and then cards for my sister who has a birthday in July. Yes, there are four of us, and we were born in April, May, June, and July, so it's all right together. But I do enjoy giving them the cards, and they enjoy using them. And so that makes me very happy. But today, the main point I want to make about these cards is, number one, they're basically the same layout. It's a very simple layout. It's easy to do, but you can make it look different ways. For example, on these two cards, I've used some cardstock at the top and some pattern paper down at the bottom here, and then just some ribbon and a die cut. Put these up on dimensionals and you have a really cute card and a nice simple card to make, but it still sends your birthday wishes and puts a smile on someone's face. So that's one way that you can do this card layout. Another thing, it's very, like I said, these are very, very much alike, but what I did on these two, I do have ribbon here, but for here I just used some cardstock and some of the same pattern paper to make a little divider between the top and the bottom. And actually what we're doing is hiding the seam between the cardstock and the paper, or in this case, between the two pieces of pattern paper, the two designs. But for this one, I really liked this paper, and I just fussy cut the design and put it here, put it on dimensionals, and then I cut one little lime slice out and put it down here over another one and popped it up on dimensionals just to give some interest. And then these two, they're both done with just the pattern paper that coordinate. And I know sometimes you might not like to kind of figure out what goes with what. And that's kind of why I've done the ones with the paper and the cardstock at the top. Then you don't have to worry about, well, does this match? Does it not match? Or lots of times if you get a package of paper, there will be patterns in that package of paper that coordinate. So there are these two, and you can see I just used the two designs of pattern paper on each, use some ribbon to hide the seam, and then just put a simple happy birthday, of course, on dimensionals for that. Now, there are many ways to change these cards up, but there are also many ways to put them together. And I think that what works for one person may not work for the other. So I like to give you some options. That's what we're going to walk through today. We're going to walk through 4 options, and we'll put these out of the way for now. And we're going to make some cards together. Here, let me move these over here, and then I'll bring this out. Now, basically, what we're doing is we are creating this panel. And this panel needs to be 3 3/4 inch wide and 5 inches long. Now, of course, you can vary that if you decide you want to make it the 4 by 5 1/4. You can do that. But on my cards, I made my panel 3 3/4 by 5 inches. I made sure it was, when these two are added together, that's what it measures out to. And I call this a 1/3, 2/3 card, even though we're not actually going with just 1/3 of the panel and then 2/3, but it's approximate. You can use whatever measurements suit you. I have found that for me, I like this top part to be 2 inches and this part to be 3 inches long. So 3 3/4 by 2 inches and then 3 3/4 by 3 inches. It just works out fairly well. It gives you enough room at the top to stamp a greeting and even add a little, as I've done here, a little die cut or a stamped image. So to get started with this, let's do the very easiest thing, at least easy for some of us. I'm going to move some scrap paper over here. And let's see if I have yep. I need a little silicone sheet because we'll be doing some, using some adhesive. And so what we need to do for this card, I have pieces. I already have the inside. Let's celebrate. Of course, this is in that classic black and white. So what we want to do is put paper here and put one up here. And we want to make sure to kind of leave our nice little border here. And this will be about a 1/4 inch border all around. As you can see, I've got that pretty good. That looks pretty good. I'm shocked, but it looks pretty good. So now all I need to do is get adhesive on the back of these and put them in place. Now you can do that a couple different ways. You can hold this in place, flip this over, put your adhesive on, then flip this back over, and then just repeat the process. Or what I do sometimes is I have this adhesive. It's called removable adhesive. Tombow makes it. I actually got this from officesupply.com. And they call it removable. Sometimes there's adhesive that's similar to it that's called repositionable. But what you can do is you can put it on the back of your paper, and it's fairly low tack, and you just put it in your paper in place where you want it. And then you can pick this one up, put some of this on the back, get it where you want it. And then if that looks good to you, great, you can leave it. If not, you can just pick this up, move it, and then reposition it to wherever you would like it to be. So I think that looks pretty good. So I think now I'm ready to put on my permanent adhesive. So I'm going to move this over, get my silicone mat. And you can just put your regular adhesive right over the top of that. It'll be just fine. And I can just bring this over, line it up, put it down, and there we go. Now I can just lift this one up, get some adhesive on it. Then get ready to line it up. And there we go. And now, I guess I should keep this mat over here. I need to put adhesive on my little strip of black cardstock. This is 3 3/4 by 1/2 inch. And I'm just going to cover up that seam. You can just do it right down here if you want, or if you would prefer, just put it right smack dab where it would be in the middle of the two pieces where they meet at the line. So there's that, and then I have a greeting, happy birthday, and I have dimensionals on the back. So we'll just stick that right here. And there we go. And that was just direct to our cardstock. Now, if you wanted to put a mat under this, you could do that and then just put this directly on your mat. It would be the same process as what we did to put it on the card front. And then there's our card. So that is the direct to the card base. And that's when we use the removable adhesive, or you can just, put it on there if you're really good at doing that. Now this next one, I call it using a template. and it's a little bit different measurement wise. And while I'm thinking of it, let's see, it's Your Turn to Be Celebrated that will go on the inside. But all the measurements that I have for these cards and the pieces and my general supply list, all that will be listed on my corresponding blog post, and the link to that blog post can be found in the description of this video. So what we have is our card base. We have the inside panel already in there, and then we have these two pieces of pattern paper. Now I've told you that I've used 3 3/4 by 2. Well, this is 3 3/4 by 2 1/4. And the reason for that is we're going to glue this directly onto here, but we're going to use something to help us. We're going to use this. This is 3 3/4 by 5, which is the size we want our finished panel to be. So I'm just going to lay that there, and if you wanted to, you could use that temporary adhesive to hold it in place. But then we're going to put some adhesive right along one side on the 3 3/4 side of this paper. And we're going to use our template here. Probably should have used that removable adhesive. And then we're just going to line this up at the bottom and the sides. There we go. And there's our panel to put on our card. But on this one, I believe, yep, I have some cardstock to make a mat for it. So we'll put adhesive on the back here. Just get this right on here. And a little more adhesive on this. So you see these cards, you can add extra mats, don't use extra mats, make them simple, add a few die cuts, make them a little more, oh, I forgot we were going to put ribbon on here. I was going to put ribbon across this end, but I guess we'll just put it across like this. Got ahead of myself. That'll be okay. And then I had adhesive on there that actually kept that ribbon in place. Put a little more adhesive over it, just so it'll stay on the card. Line this up. And then I have the happy birthday. I'll just peel the backs off with these dimensionals. And put it right across our ribbon. And there we go. Happy birthday. It's your turn to be celebrated. So there's the second way. Now our third way, we're going to use my favorite cheating method. We're going to use some printer paper, and I need to remember I have ribbon. And here's the inside, Celebrate You. So I'm sure you guys, if you've seen me do this before, you'll know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to adhere my pieces of pattern paper directly to this piece of printer paper, computer paper, whichever you prefer. And it is cut at 3 3/4 by 5. And we're just going to get the adhesive on the back of here. There we go, and now we just have to put this on here. And just line it right up. I just bump this right up against the top portion. There we go. And now for our ribbon, I think I'm just going to run a little bit of adhesive across here. You can put the ribbon right on it. And just put some little pieces here. I think I am about to run out of adhesive. Might not be good. Still have another card to go. There we go. And then we'll, of course, put more adhesive. My paper wants to turn around today. I didn't keep my mat under it. I usually have a little mat I use, and I didn't put that down here today. There we go. Now have a beautiful birthday. And then a little more adhesive. And there we go. So that's another way to get your panel on your card. And then the last way is, instead of using for these, we've used the pattern papers. And then the last way, I told you some of my cards I'd use just cardstock. Let's celebrate here and a happy birthday and some more ribbon. So that's what I did. I cut my cardstock at 3 3/4 by 5, and then I cut my little pineapple paper here at 3 3/4 by 3. I turned my pineapple paper over, and then I'd stamped my happy birthday, and then I used a white chalk marker. You can also use a gel pen, or any little, you could use a white paint pen even. And I just made the little dots on there because this paper has little white dots, and I thought that just kind of perked up the cardstock a bit, kind of added a little something to the card. So now we'll just get this card together. And I think this is one of the easiest ways, is to just use the piece of cardstock, and then all you have to do is adhere the 3 inch by 3 3/4 inch panel on here. Just match it up down at the bottom. There you go. Now we'll get that ribbon on. Can't remember. This is almost too short. Let me use some tape for that. Kind of makes it a little longer on the end there. So we're just going to put it right along here. May need to put a little glue dot under there to hold that down. And then we'll make sure I got that correct. And we'll just mount this on here. And there we go. So there you have it. My 1/3, 2/3 card, and several ways that you can create that card. And as I said earlier, all the measurements and supply list and all that will be found on my corresponding blog post, and the link to that blog post is in the description of this video. I thank you so much for joining me, and until next time, stamp happy.